Namaste friends. Welcome to my second lecture on this series in celebration of the 75th year of independence. I am thankful once again to the Vivekananda Prabodhini for giving me this opportunity. My previous lecture was on the Aztecs of Mexico, which was the first example of the ancient Indian roots of major Native American cultures. In it, I have referred to some similarities between the Vedic Hindus and the Aztecs, as well as some mythological references to support the theory that they are originally from ancient India. This theory may remain only a hypothesis for want of authentic sources. Shagun's book and a few codices preserved in the USA and elsewhere are our only reference points. The codices can be tampered versions, and Shagun's description could be biased reports. There is every possibility that the Nahuatl scholars who helped Shagun in writing this history might have hidden vital information from him. History records are always manipulated to suit the rulers, and we know that. We also know that the Spaniards destroyed valuable records and information. Libraries were burned to suppress the ancient knowledge and wisdom. Now, in absence of primary sources, we have to depend on tertiary sources. We know how vital information is lost in translations. My second example for reference is the Maya culture. Friends, we all know that the Mayan civilization and culture is one of the world's most celebrated ancient cultures. It is a lost culture because now it is in ruins. The Maya civilization embraced the peninsula of Yucatan, Chiapas, to the Isthmus of Tehuantepec on the north, and the whole of Guatemala to the boundaries of the present Republic of San Salvador. History books and internet are full of descriptions and pictures of the ancient Maya kingdom. The Mayas are known for their achievements in architecture, arts, astronomy, astrology, their mechanical expertise, their glorious progress in almost all spheres. They are known for their profound wisdom and also consequent maturity and spirituality. Their prayers, their achievements in different fields of science, arts, technical and mechanical expertise, all this reveal their material and philosophical similarity with that of the ancient Vedic India. Their riqueza reminds us of the prosperous and rich kingdom of India with their equally significant achievements in all fields of life. Attempts have been made to trace the origin of the Maya race to Egypt, Phoenicia, China, Burma, as also to the Asiatic or African peoples. But the name of India has never been mentioned, in spite of the fact that an equally ancient civilization, Indian civilization, also grew and developed almost simultaneously with the famous Maya and Aztec empires. The ancient India or the Hindus had developed their own cultures and reached their peak, made tremendous achievements in the fields of art, architecture, and in almost all branches. Mayan knowledge of astronomy and astrology, arts and architecture are comparable only to that of India. Indian mythological stories, the Jataka, the Kathasarita Sagar, refer to the golden land of the Maya. Their kings, their architectural expertise, their visits to India, and so on. The story of Hindu Maya links their contacts and interactions in the ancient past as two glorious cultures and two golden empires form an integral part of Indian mythology. It is well known that the Mahabharata hero, King Yudhishthira, requested Mayasura, the Maya king, to send architects to build the famous hall known as Maya Sabha. Mayasura was the architect of God's engineer Vishwakarma, who had his kingdom in an island in the Indian Ocean. Mayasura was the author of the ancient Sanskrit treatise in Indian astronomy called Surya Siddhanta. This helps prove the ancient Indian roots of the Mayas. In my previous lecture, I have also mentioned the story of the sage Astik, the brother of the Naga queen. Astik gave political asylum to the Nagas in Pataladesh, that is America. The Maya civilization as well as the Hindu civilization are known for their intellectual superiority combined with spirituality provided by their cosmic knowledge. The ancient Indians laid the foundation of mathematical and mechanical knowledge. In this connection, I quote from the book Indian Philosophy, published in 1923, written by Dr. S. Radhakrishnan, the former President of India. And I quote, "Whatever conclusions we may arrive at as to the original source of the first astronomical ideas current in the world, it is possible that to the Hindus is due the invention of algebra and its application to astronomy and geometry." Now, let us consider the physical similarity. Apart from intellectual superiority, which is similar among the Hindus and the Mayas, there is also remarkable physical similarity between the two peoples. You just saw the picture of two Maya individuals. The woman is a lady from the Mayan highlands. The man is a spiritual elder from Guatemala. His name is Cerelo Perez Estlage, also known as Tata. The Mayas have a great longevity. Even today, the Maya people look like the Indian people. I could easily mix with the Mayas. It was a unique experience to visit the golden land of the Mayas and Mayan historical places in Guatemala. I was fortunate enough to visit some of the historical sites of archaeological significance in the dense forests of Guatemala, where now many monuments are hidden under overgrowth. Even today, I am in contact with the Mayan people, my Mayan friends. We also meet occasionally. Now about the social similarity. Let us have a look at the Mayan society and its similarity with ancient Indian society. First, the social structure, that is the Chatur Varna Vyavastha. Like the Aztecs, the Mayas, and the Hindus have social stratification which resembles the fourfold classification of the Hindu society named the Chaturvarna Vyavastha. The stratification is like this. Number 1, priests. Number 2, nobility, warriors, and peasants, craftsmen. And number 4, slaves. Priests were very important. Both the Aztecs and the Mayas were great astronomers. They directed ceremonies and rituals to honor the gods and seek their favors. The priests enjoyed authority. They made complicated calculations to predict natural events and connect with them the fate of the population. Under the guidance, the scribes recorded history, religion, and mythology using a complicated system of hieroglyphs. There used to be what the Hindus call Gurukulam, where the pupils used to stay with the teachers in order to acquire knowledge. Now, about the achievements of the Mayas and the Hindus. The Maya numerical system. The Maya and the Sanskrit Pandits in India produced a method of computation which is perhaps as ingenious as anything which has ever been published in the history of mathematics. In the Maya arithmetical system, as in ours, it is the position of the sign that gives it its value. This system admits of computation up to millions and is one of the surest signs of Maya culture. The zero was represented with the symbol of a grain, a seed, meaning the germ of all creation, because according to their mathematics, zero does not mean nothing. It means the beginning. With the positional value of their science and the knowledge of astronomy, the Mayas and the Hindus managed to develop perfect chronological calendars. European scholars find it amazing as to how they could foretell sun and moon and eclipses and the effects of the sunspots and sunstorms on the life of our planet, and were able to predict cataclysms, deluges, hurricanes, storms, sea currents, and some say even the movements of land masses. Obviously, they did not know that such an advanced state of knowledge existed and still exists in India. Mayan hieroglyphs have survived mostly as carvings in stone. The Dresden Codex contains precise tables for predicting eclipses and other celestial events in very much the same manner as the Hindu calendar. Some of the old Spanish friars were able to read and even to write the script, but they regarded it as an invention of the father of evil, or as it was a native system, a thing of no value. Obviously, and as the present Maya leaders of the elders claim, the truth has been distorted. The glyphs were misread deliberately to reduce the importance of the Mayas. Now, a great example of ancient Mayan wisdom and knowledge is Populveda, as you can see in the picture. This is a cover page on your left. This is the cover page of the Populveda. Now let us talk about this famous Mayan book, Populveda. The Quiche Maya text is aptly referred to as the Bible of Mesoamerica. This ancient book, of which the original might be in Nahuatl language, tells the story of creation legibly and at length. The book serves as the point of reference for cosmological texts all over the world. This ancient book is supposed to be the gift of the legendary Lord Quetzalcoatl to the second generation of men. The original Populveda remains a mystery. Populveda, the sacred book of the Mayas, say, and I quote, of course in English, all moons, all years, all days, all vents reach their completion and pass away. Measured is the time in which we can praise the splendor of the Trinity. Measured is the time in which we can know the benevolence of the sun. Measured is the time in which the grid of the stars looks down upon us, and through it, keeping watch over their safety, the spirits abiding within the stars measures their fate. This is the English translation of the Populveda, or the Book of the Council, which is an ancient Maya scripture. As the Indians believe, the Mayas too had the power to create a bondage to the empirical world, preventing the unveiling of the true unitary self, that is, the cosmic spirit, also known as Brahma. Now, the most interesting thing is the Maya prophecies. Prophecy played an important role in the lives of the Mayan and the Indians and occupied prominent position in their literature. Foretelling the future was the profession of a special branch of the priesthood called Chilans among the Mayas, or Chilam also. The word Chilan means mouthpiece, spokesman, or interpreter. Like the Indian gurus, they were held in such high esteem that they were carried on men's shoulders when they went abroad. The most famous prophecy of Chilan Balam, which proved to be so true, is thus, and I quote, "Know all of you that the time has come, the rulers as well as the people shall suffer. When these times arrive in these provinces of Mayapan and Jianakan, and in this peninsula, which will be called Yucatan, you will live as dying deer. Vultures will enter the houses in your villages because of the great number of dead Mayas and dead animals. The land will be sold and all the people will be moved. You will be bowing your heads to the archbishop. You will have to follow the true God called Christ. Time will end. That which was written on the monuments will be fulfilled." And he further says, "The invading foreigners will establish their quarters in Icancio. Your government will tumble down. Everything will be razed and destroyed. You will be brothers in law to the Spaniards, and you will wear their clothing, their hats, and speak their language." So true. Later, Diego de Landa, who was afterwards the Bishop of Yucatan, burned 27 hieroglyph manuscripts at the famous Auto de Fe in Mani in 1562. Other missionaries too followed his example whenever they had the opportunity. The surviving hieroglyphs manuscripts were hidden. Bishop Landa openly declared that, and I quote, "We found a large number of books in these characters, that is, hieroglyphs, and as they contained nothing in which there were not to be seen the superstition and lies of the devil, we burned them all, with which they regretted to an amazing degree, and which caused them much affliction." Now, about the spirituality of the Mayas and the Hindus. Material prosperity did not make the ancient cultures complacent or arrogant. It gave them humility born out of their spirituality. The spirituality of the Mayas and the Indians is the essential and fundamental characteristic of their identity. Their spirituality found maximum expression in their ceremonies, in their beliefs, values, ideas, and mystical thoughts, which determine the destiny of human existence in the cosmic universe. The spirituality of the Maya and the Aztecs has its basis in the principle of the existence of divinity in the heart of the sky and the earth. Ukux Kaz, Ukux Ulu, and it is present in each of the elements of nature. Therefore, all that exists in nature and the universe is considered sacred, as it is a part of the divinity or the Ser Supremo, expressing itself in the Pancha Mahabhuta. Like the Hindus, the Mayas and the Aztecs consider human existence as part of this nature and the cosmic universe. In their cosmic vision, the Maya see the mutual relationship between human life and the elements of nature. Naturally, to them, nothing and no one is superior to the Supreme Being. Without the element of nature, that is the divinity, no human being can exist on the face of the earth. For example, would a human being, a plant, an animal, or whatever, be able to survive without these elements of nature, that is air, water, fire, earth? For this same reason, the spirituality of the Maya ingrained in them the belief that all that exists in nature and in the universe have to live in harmony with each of these elements, maintain an equilibrium, a balance with them. This permits the human beings to ensure their health and long life. This comes very close to the Hindu concept of the universe and the Supreme Being or the Paramatma. The Hindus have a concept of the Supreme Power which rules over the universe and which pervades over the entire universe. This spirit is called the Paramatma, symbolized by the sound Om. It is beyond form which manifests itself in different shapes and sounds. The Hindu deity symbolizing this Paramatma is Lord Brahma, the creator of this universe. The Aztecs call it Teotl and the Mayas call it Ahau. Now, let us talk about the Maya-Hindu religious links. First, concept of the creation of the universe. Maya concept of the universe is similar to the Hindu concept. 129 Sukta of the 10th mandala of the Rig Veda is the very essence of the concept of creation. It says, and I quote, "Before this universe was born, there was nothing. There was neither life nor death, neither day nor light. The primal force was the only thing in its dormant state. Then the Paramatma expressed itself in a visible form. There is very little thin dividing line between the visible and the invisible, the tangible and the intangible. The intangible, invisible Paramatma was later seen in different forms by the sages. Ekam sat vipra bahudha vadanti." Unquote. The concept of creation in both the Hindu and the Maya scriptures have a certain degree of resemblance. The Maya concept of time is that first there was nothing, then two gods, Tepu and Kukumats, the mother and father of life, conceived of the creation of man, but first created the earth. The land, the mountains, ravines, all brought forth out of nothing. They then made the small wild animals and later the birds. They then told all of these creatures where to live and how to act. Concept of creation in the Hindu and Maya books is thus similar. In both, there is also a reference to the great flood. The picture that you see in this slide is the picture of the Tikal temple and that of the famous temple of Lord Venkateshwara at Tirupati in India. It is up to the readers to note the similarity. The Hindus and the Maya built beautiful temples wherever they found an appropriate location. These temple complexes were used of religious ceremonies and purposes. The temples in India are as old as the temples in the Maya land. Unfortunately, the Mayan temples are destroyed. They are in ruins now. Yet, the ruins speak of the past glory of the Maya land. In 1995, V. Ganapati Sthapati, the foremost expert on Vastu Shastra, visited the archaeological zones of Maya and Inca in Mexico, Central America, and Peru. He noted many similarities with the Vedic architecture in terms of design, measurement, and construction methods of the ancient structures. According to historical records of the Vedic culture, Maya Danava's influence on man was prevailing for 8,000 years. At the same time, he is described as a being from another planetary system, equipped with all sorts of magical powers and with an astronomical lifespan. The Mayan elder told us that the ancestor of the Mayas could lift colossal stones with the mystical spiritual powers. According to Dr. Sthapati, there are two specific archaeological discoveries pertaining to 761 AD, about which most historians are silent. The first site is Piedras Negras. It is the largest archaeological site in the region and has played a crucial role in the furthering of the study of Maya classical period. These studies are significant as possible links of Maya civilization with the Indian civilization. The first one you see is a wall panel at Piedras Negras in Guatemala, and the second is goddess Ashtabhuja. According to Dr. Sthapati, it appears that the scene depicted in the panel related to the great Hindu epic Ramayana. It shows a king sitting on the throne and one maid servant with two children standing on the right side of the throne. A guard stands behind the three. On the other side of the king, three important personages are standing as the vassal chiefs. The king on the throne is believed to be Lord Rama, with Lakshmana standing by his side. The two little children are Rama's two sons, Lava and Kush. The second site is a stone stele with a beautiful image of a deity with 8 hands, called Ashtabhuja in Sanskrit. The art style is discernibly Indian, as this type of deity is not worshipped in any other religion of the world. It is the Mahishasuramardini form of the goddess. The Vedic origin of the Mayas is further enhanced by the frequency with which the elephant motif is found in Maya art, especially in the earlier works of the Mayas, such as at Copan in Honduras, although the elephant never existed in that region. Thus, according to Sthapati, Maya culture had links with Bharat, as is also revealed by the stories in Jataka, Kathasarita Sagar, and other ancient Hindu scriptures. The temples in India are as old as those of the Maya land. Also, as regards the concept of time, the Mayas have a cyclic concept of time, like the Hindus, as simply the trace of a turning wheel. Now let us talk about the Mayan religion. First, concept of the creation of the universe. Mayan concept of the creation is similar to the Hindu concept. 129 Sukta of the 10th Mandala of the Rig Veda is the very essence of the concept of creation. It says, and I quote, "Before this universe was born, there was nothing. There was neither life nor death, neither day nor light. The primal force was the only thing in its dormant state. Then the Paramatma expressed itself in a visible form. There is a very thin dividing line between the visible and the invisible, the tangible and the intangible. The intangible, invisible Paramatma was later seen in different forms by the sages. Ekam sat vipra bahuda vadanti." Unquote. The concept of creation in both the Hindus and the Maya scriptures have a certain degree of resemblance. The Maya concept of time is the first. There was nothing. Then the two gods, Tepu and Kukumats, the mother and father of life, conceived of the creation of man, but first created the earth, the land, the mountains, ravines, all brought forth out of nothing. They then made the small wild animals and later the birds. Then they told all of these creatures where to live and how to act. The concept of creation in the Hindu and Maya books is thus similar. In both, there is a reference to the Great Flood. Now about the conceptualization of nature in the forms of God. Like the Hindus, the Mayas worship the gods of nature every day. Worshipping their gods was and is a huge part of their daily life. Some of their gods include the god of rain, Lady Rainbow, the god of maize, and of course, the god of the sun. Without the help of these important gods, there would be no crops and everyone would starve. Mayan religion was far more complicated than just the worship of gods of nature. The Maya world was composed of three layers: the heaven, the earth, and the underworld. The Mayas conducted many ceremonies to keep at bay the demons, creatures, and gods in the other world. Now about Maya polytheism. Both the Hindus and the Mayas were polytheists. For both, the several deities they worshipped were the manifestation of the Ser Supremo or the Paramatma. As in India, the various Maya tribes worshipped similar gods under different names. We know about the identity of Quetzalcoatl is supposed to be the sage Aztec and his relation to the Nagas. Perhaps this was the reason why most of the Mayan gods were reptilian and also explain the presence of serpent signs on Maya temples. Their gods had dual aspects. That is, each god had a benevolent aspect and a malevolent one. Now let us take into account the major Maya deities. The first is, as you see in the picture, Itzma. One of the most important of the Maya deities was a moon god, the father of the god of men. In him was typified the decay and recurrence of life in nature. His name was derived from the words he was used to have given to men regarding himself. It's en Khan, it's en Muyal. That is, I am the dew of the heaven, I am the dew of the clouds. Chak, the second one is Chak, the rain god, who, like the Indian Ganesha, has an elongated nose, the spout whence comes the rain which he blows over the earth. He is one of the best represented gods on both manuscripts and monuments. Ishchal was the goddess of medicine. There were also several deities. The names of these were Khan, Muluk, Ish, Kok, representing the east, north, west, and south, to the four variants of the Mexican rain god Tlaloc they corresponded to. Rigveda 2 enumerates numerous Vedic gods. Vedic priests believed in ceremonies and rituals, which were offered to separate these gods. The earliest accepted gods were the Anushapita, that is the sky father, whom the Mayas called Criador y Formador, del Corazon del Cielo, and Prithvi Mata, del Corazon de la Tierra, the Earth Mother, and so on. I have discussed this at length in my book Maya Hindu Hermanos. The Mayan hieroglyphs have survived mostly as carvings in stone and stele. The only Maya glyphs thus far deciphered are those related to numbers and calendars. Scientists do not agree even on these. Only a few Maya books remain. The Dresden Codex contains precise tables for predicting eclipses and other celestial events in very much the same manner as the Hindu calendar. You can see these hieroglyphs and these steles in the slide. In conclusion, I would like to say that a study of the Maya culture reveals its similarity with the culture of ancient India called the Vedic or the Hindu culture. The people of India have survived external aggressions and alien rule and have succeeded in preserving their ancient heritage. That's a great accomplishment. Some of the temples were, of course, destroyed by intolerant invaders, but the legacy in the form of architecture and scriptures has remained intact. The ancient literature is the pride of the nation and is available today. Not so with the Mesoamerican cultures. With a few exceptions of books like Chilanbalam and Populveda, rest have been either destroyed, burnt in a missionary bonfire, or were just lost during centuries of alien rule. The authenticity of these surviving books is in question. What remains shows considerable similarity with the Indian way of thought, way of life, and philosophy. We have seen that there are many similarities between the Indians and the Mayas in their physical features, color of their skin, in their social organization, food habits, in customs, and so on. Studies are going on, and visitors are being aware of the similarity. New treasures are coming to light, as the jade necklace of Nimli Puneet as shown in the picture. Let us hope more things come to light to prove the Indo-Maya connection. Truth will ultimately survive. Satyameva Jayate. Thank you.